Hello everybody, this is Jordan here with TrueHumanity. I think I have a really good video here to present today. It's going to be a little shorter than usual, but it goes along the lines of what I've been discussing and announcing, I guess, before about introducing these other topic areas such as the unifying principles, the human condition, etc. So I think today I have just something that I found in my life that has helped me as I've recognized this and understood its impact on my life. And I think that if other people can kind of take a moment to reflect on this and try to incorporate it into their lives, they'll 100% see a noticeable positive effect. So I hope this video will be, a good tool, I guess, in your toolbox perhaps to utilize in seeing how you can make your day-to-day life better. So what I'm going to discuss real quick today is about social media and the human condition and our separation from unity through the current status we have around us today in our interactions among our fellow humans and on these social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever platform you choose to input into there. So I don't want this to be like a preachy message or anything like that, but from what I've discovered in my own life and implementing these tactics, if you want to call it that, I've noticed a 100% change in day-to-day life and interactions and so on through what I've understood and then put into practice in my life. And I think, obviously, this is not an exhaustive Pandora's box of one shoe size fits all, but I think this is something we can all implement right away to definitely start the ball rolling on cutting us off from this negative influence and negative cycle that we're all a part of at the moment, or many of us, I should say, are a part of, especially as the more so you are engrossed and involved with social media. So this probably isn't the newest phrase out there, but it definitely resonates with me, is that there is nothing social about social media. We've created this artificial platform where we think we're being social and connecting more, but all it's doing is creating a haven for those who wish to be anything other than harmonious, compassionate, connected, and so on. So it's allowing these individuals to hide behind a firewall where their actions do not have consequences. Like I've said in other videos, coming into a conversation perhaps in a comment section or whatever, dropping these little grenades of a sentence or something to kind of stir up dissent or whatever it may be for negatively, and then they leave, or they just throw some rubbish down, or just things that you can all look at and go, what? This is an emotional response. You're just trying to get a rise out of people. So we cannot begin to truly understand what we are really saying to each other on social media, especially in a long-form conversation, and when certain topics need to be discussed in person and at greater length. There's just no way you can, quote-unquote, type letters from your keyboard onto a screen, because there's no inflection, you're not seeing the person, you don't know how they want this to be conveyed, and so many other factors that how could you not see it devolving into something as chaotic as it is now, especially politics, religion, economics, health, whatever, all these different topics that are so polarizing, especially in the first world countries, Europe and America, and it's ubiquitous, very widespread. And it's a poor medium to communicate important information, especially those where you want others' opinions, because it affects us all. Obviously, you electing a person or your personal health care is only for your individual decision, but the healthcare system, the political system at large, and others are there for everybody. So it's a project that we as humanity should be getting behind, and utilizing these social media typing platforms is not the way to go. So we've created this additional false reality for ourselves on these social media platforms. Excuse me. Where we pretend to be more connected with each other, but instead it's tearing us apart, much further apart. We would rather communicate or view or share our lives and our life events through these platforms. And of course, these platforms kind of facilitate that and set an environment to make that easier to do. But we're doing it on these platforms rather than coming together in person to talk and express our thoughts and feelings with each other. So, social media does not allow you to comprehend the nature or the feeling behind these thoughts. I know when I'm expressing something and typing, especially prior and previous to the launch of TrueHumanity, there's many instances where somehow it was interpreted wrong or negative or sarcastic or however, other different way it may have been interpreted when it wasn't meant to. And there's times where it was wrongly worded, of course, on my part. But I'm saying that for a large part of things, not just myself, that this happens. People misinterpret things all the time, especially working in the corporate world and in other businesses. We utilize emails so often, and I'm sure everyone knows of a time or an instance where your email was interpreted wrong from the original meaning behind your message. Some negative way it was interpreted, and who knows how that snowballed or spiraled from there into something that never needed to happen, where that other person has a negative thought or emotion or feeling or whatever from this, and so on and so forth. So we could have nipped it in the bud in the beginning by picking up a phone or going face to face to talk to these people. So, as I said, social media, the medium, the platforms itself, through how we communicate on these platforms, is a horrible way to communicate overall. And many misunderstandings, or even worse, fights and division, are born out of these conversations on these platforms, perpetuating this negative cycle. So I think we fooled ourselves. We truly have fooled ourselves. And by distancing ourselves further from each other, in many instances through social media, we're continuing to sever and distance ourselves from the ultimate connection and interrelationship we actually have with the cosmos, the earth, and every other human being who walks on this planet. And I believe this continues to be a contributing factor to the decline of the human condition. And we've seen it month by month, year by year accelerate. It's just quite obvious if you've turned on anything you've seen on social media, anything on multimedia, news, etc. We can understand what's going on right now through this overuse, I guess, if you want to say, of social media, or incorrect use, misuse. So I'm not saying social media is entirely or inherently bad or a waste of time, because we do see great benefit of sharing information and staying in touch with family, friends, and others at long distances. But it's done little good, especially recently, at bringing humanity as a whole together. When many of these controversial topics, such as politics or other human rights issues, are allowed to take place on these platforms, and then subsequently become worse. As I said, there's a disconnect between what you're reading or interpreting in these platforms and what possibly the original intent was, or the feeling or the emotion behind it, because feelings become emotion, then behavior into action. So we're witnessing that in the world today and on these social media platforms. And right now, for a large part, they're acting as a catalyst for this bad behavior. So I believe that if we can limit ourselves to an hour or two max a day in a 24-hour period to social media, where like you're just on social media, I know that if we do that, limit ourselves to around 2 hours max a day, and then we triple the amount of time we're spending interacting with each other face to face or maybe on the phone, I truly believe we will see a positive force of change among our cultures. And this isn't fantasy or pipe dream. and we can all make it a reality. And I've, in the very small amount I've done in my life, I can already see a noticeable, palpable change. And this isn't some, you know, fantasy, really. It's just not some conjuring. This is just reality of how we can change our behaviors, our speech, our interaction, and how that'll have a positive effect around us. And I know this video is shorter, and I believe it's just something we can do because it's so pervasive right now. Social media, how many billions of people use social media on this planet? It's so enormous of a use from all ages. I have family members, close family members in their 80s, and close family members who are 9, 10, 11 years old who use social media. So it spans the whole age range pretty much. And I believe that if we see that these organizations or establishments, I guess maybe for a large part, don't have our best interests in mind, because it does come down to profit at the end of the day, I believe it's in our power that we don't have to make an uprising, but we can change our behavior and our actions and our thoughts to reflect how we want our life to be. And one of the ways we can do that is by removing ourselves in a large part from being so connected to these social media platforms and through apps. I mean, the majority of people are opening their smartphones and touching the app on their phone to interact. I mean, you have a tool right there, $1,000 tool to make a call or a video chat or some other visual method or set up a in-person meeting to have these discussions, you know. And I think a lot of our ego comes into play, and our preconceptions and our greed in many different aspects, not just money. And I think these are just steps that we can take to improve our lives and put roadblocks, if you want to say, defense posts up to help protect us from falling into these traps and into further negative cycles, because I was a part of one. I'm speaking, most of the time when I talk on these videos, I'm speaking from experience, not from just hearsay. Maybe I'm citing or going deeper into other people's work or research, but it's only because it resonates with me, or I've had my own personal experience and truths in this. And I believe as other people change their perspective and their lives, they're going to see exactly the same thing. So if there's one thing you can do today, I believe it's just limiting yourself daily to social media. You know, how much really are you accomplishing progressively on a day-to-day basis by utilizing social media? If you have a business, of course, that's another exception to this. I'm talking more about the personal use overall, but use in general of social media should be in a positive, or at the very least neutral note. But I think we see negativity running rampant, and it's seeping into our consciousness, it's seeping into our emotions, it's seeping into everything we do on a day-to-day basis. So if there's one thing I could leave you with today, it's to limit yourself to your personal interaction with social media to less than 2 hours a day. You know, definitely not 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, or all the time checking your social media. And we're just kind of reinforcing habits by doing that, bad habits. So it's about getting out, interacting with your fellow man and fellow woman on this planet, going out into this beautiful planet, into nature. I'm not saying you have to buy $1,000 plane ticket or anything, but there's beauty all around you. And it's about kind of pausing and reflecting more internally without distractions, all of the distractions, not just social media and smartphones, and reflecting upon the day-to-day. How do you want to live your life? How do you want to be in existence here on this planet? And I think as you reflect on that, it's going to become more clear to you these other factors in our lives that have effects on us, most negative, some positive, but how we can change our behavior and our exposure to these factors and limit them. And I think that there's great things ahead, and I'm excited to what we're going to continue to discuss on this True Humanity channel. Things are developing, maturing, evolving all the time. I'm definitely going to begin starting into the ancient Egyptian and ancient advanced civilization discussions. There's a lot there, is probably one of the more difficult things to kind of get going, just because there's so many places you can begin and so much information that needs to be said. So it's about what can I do most clearly and understandably comprehensible, so that others can understand what I'm saying, and if they don't believe it, can back it up, can go research it and find the evidence I'm discussing. So great stuff ahead. If you find value in this channel, I would greatly appreciate if you'd like and subscribe to this channel and share this video. Hit the little bell icon to get alerted for new videos, and just keep continuing on, following this channel, following the other things you're interested in, and, trying to reflect day to day on what can you do, what can I do in this day to make my day, my experience in this 24-hour period better, and that through my experience other people's lives are also being improved and are better. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon on the next video. Alright, bye.